Hi everyone, for our vlog today, we'll be talking about the Sonia G Mini Keyaki set, Volume 1. So I'm just squeezing this in. I was actually not planning of creating a vlog for this, and the main reason why is because one, this was first released back in 2020, so it's been a while. And this set I got when it was reissued sometime in December of 2024. Am I right? I forgot the timeline. So I also thought that there would be no interest with this set because after all, it's it's been around for quite some time, and it has been out of the market also for quite some time. And also, all of the brushes that I have here right now in my hand, I have discussed individually in various Sonia G videos, featuring them in either their fundamental handles, their fusion, pro handles, or even some in the sky handles. So I actually did put a question here on my YouTube channel, down in the comments, I think, and even on my Instagram page, asking if there's anybody interested in me talking about the set. And there were some who actually chimed in and said they were quite interested because they want to see how they will work. And after some reflection, I said to myself, I should squeeze one vlog in, because if there's one person asking one question about the Volume 1 Mini Keyaki set from Sonia, I'm sure there's a number of people also wondering how to work with these brushes. Okay, and also in me doing this video, it kind of completes me creating a vlog for all of the Mini Keyaki brushes from Sonia G. So we'll delve into this also a little bit later, as we go along the video. Okay, all right. So the Mini Keyaki Volume 1 has 5 brushes in it, and they all sport the Keyaki handles here. Look at that. And then we have matte ferrules here, and then we have 3 eyeshadow brushes that have Psycho goat hairs, which is undyed, and then we have 2 here which has the same coloration, but this brush here, the mini base, is actually made with Psycho and synthetic fibers mixed. And then this brush here, this is called the Classic Chic, and this one is made of dyed and undyed Psycho mix. So it's actually quite an interesting set, and when you look at it, it's absolutely perfect to bring with you, especially if you're traveling, because you can use one brush for let's say foundation application or blush application, and you can use one brush for powder or blush application, and then you have 3 undyed Psycho goat hairs here, which you can use for a variety of eyeshadow formulas, maybe cream, powder, or even gel. So it's actually a very concise set. And truthfully, if you are been on the fence about getting this, or if it's gonna be useful, I think it's one of the most well-rounded and all-around brush sets that you can use for traveling. Okay, so I'm gonna start with talking about the 3 eyeshadow brushes first, and I'm gonna start with the Jumbo Blender. So the Jumbo Blender here has a very big brush head here, and basing off of the brush head design, this is actually a great brush that you can use to either lay down or buff out products. So it's a great worker and builder brush in one, and it actually has a very strong core. Look at how full the brush head is, and it kind of blooms as it nears the tips. So this will give you enough buffing and blending ability. Now this brush, at the time that it was released, is actually not new, because we had it in the Jumbo Blender, but it featured the sky handle design, and if you put it right beside each other, you can see that the Sky Jumbo Blender here is made of dyed Psycho goat hairs. So because of this, it kind of limits what you can use the Sky Jumbo Blender for, because you can only use this for powder products. But I've also said in a video before that the Jumbo Blender, although if I don't use it on a regular basis, it's one of the most important brushes that I have in my collection, because this just really helps me to blend out and to buff out color, especially if I add way too much eyeshadow color in a specific portion of the eye. This brush just really helps me to buff that out and to balance the eyeshadow application. And now that I have the Jumbo Blender here in the Mini Keyaki handle, I am so glad that it's undyed, because I can use this for cream and liquid eyeshadow products. And if you follow me here on my channel, you know that I love using those types of eyeshadow formulations. Okay, Lovely. I'm so glad I have two varieties of the jumbo blender. Super, super. And the next brush that we have here is the flat definer. So the brush head design of this is actually very small, which is actually perfect to use if you want to define the lash line, lower lash line, or even the outer V portions. It is fantastic. And the brush head here is flat and round, and the tips here, especially when you put it on the side, you can actually see that it tapers into a point, which is actually perfect because it can really just help you to get into the hard to reach areas of your lashes or your lash line. It's actually a very good brush. Now this brush again was not new at the time of this release because we had this as the Sky Flat Definer. Look at that. And of course, if you put them side by side, the main difference is the bristles, because the Sky Flat Definer here again is used with dyed Psycho goat hairs, and then the Mini Keyaki Flat Definer here is made with undyed Psycho goat hairs. Again, just as I have said with the Jumbo Blender, you can actually use the Mini Keyaki Flat Definer for cream and liquid products, and the Sky Flat Definer only for powder products. Again, two different bristle types for two different uses. And the final brush is the Mini Booster brush, and basing off of the name of this, we know that this is a blending or a crease brush. Now look at that very nice snap back into position. Very beautiful shape, keeps it shaped magnificently when I'm just dancing my fingers on top of it. Very, very strong core, very directional in approach as well. Nice blending capability. So this brush again is also not new upon release because this had a cousin, which was the Sky Mini Booster. So again, the main difference between these two is just that the Sky Mini Booster again has dyed Psycho goat hairs, and you can only use this for powders, and this one, let me hear it, yes, for cream and liquid or even gel eyeshadow products. Now the Mini Booster is actually also one of my used eyeshadow brushes from Sonia G's line, because I love the size of this. This can just really fit very well in the crease, or even on the outer V portions, and they just really do the job effectively into blending out or even adding intensity of color into that portion of the eye. So I'm super glad that these three eyeshadow brushes from the Sky series like this came out with an undyed version, because again they're actually very, very useful, and they're a staple in my kit all the time. And the next brush that we have here is the Mini Base brush, and basing off of the name, you can actually use this to apply base all over the face, concealer, even blush in cream and liquid form, and even in powder. Now at the time of this release, the Pro Mini Base was not available yet, so I believe this might have been the prototype for this brush. And when people were clamoring for a brush like this, Sonia listened and she came out with a Pro Mini Base, and I actually do love using this to this very day for the specific purpose of actually adding cream and liquid blush on the face. The brush head here looks very soft. Look at that, nice snap back into position, but if you press it here on the face, you can actually see on how much pressure it exerts. So maybe if you have extra sensitive skin, this might be an issue for you, but this actually gives this brush head very nice buffing ability, just to be able for you to blend out product on the face. And now that I'm playing around with the Mini Keyaki Mini Base on my hand, do I feel any difference between the two brush heads? No, not at all. They're much the same in terms of how much pressure that they exert, also the strength at the core of them, and the way they actually bloom when you press the brush head here on my palm of my hand. Nice core strength of this brush head. Love it. Now the classic face brush here, when this is released into the Mini Keyaki set, the brush head design of this was actually new, and it was not found in any of the brush lines of Sonia G. And because a lot of you fell in love with this, and Sonia G listens to her customers, when she revamped her brush line, she actually re-released it as her classic cheek and her new fundamental face brush. So this brush and this brush here is actually the same. The brush head sizes are relatively the same. Like, you know, even like, you know, the core strength, there is no difference that I can feel whenever I'm, you know, just pressing both brushes here on the palm of my hands. Both of them are actually very soft. They dance very nicely and they actually bloom very nicely on the face. Look at that. If I press both brush heads together, they actually have the same, like, you know, circumference. So essentially they are both the same. Now, do you need to have two of these? It's really up to you. It depends on your lifestyle and it depends on your needs. So if you're someone who's always traveling and you're finding that the handle of the classic cheek here is just way too long, having it in a mini Keyaki option is actually good. And trust me when I say this, I travel with my mini Keyaki brushes all the time because they're just easy to store, they're very easy to manage, and they're actually very effective. And I do have to say, now that I have the mini Keyaki set volume 1, it completes my mini Keyaki collection from Sonia G, and I love it because, like, you know, I bring these with me all the time. They're very travel friendly, and because we have different brush head designs here, and we have some brushes here that have mix of, like, you know, synthetic and goat hair, this just enables us to use these brushes for a variety of, like, you know, formulations for makeup, may it be for the face or for the eyes. I love it. Okay, so let's use the mini Keyaki set volume 1 now on the face. Alright, so by the way, my skincare is already on, my brows are on, I already have some sunscreen, and everything that I'm going to be using today is going to be listed down on the description box, okay? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray some of my favorite Lisa Eldridge Skin and Makeup Enhancing Mist all over. And I'm just going to massage that into my face. Okay, so the mist is now sunk into my skin, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my cream foundation. So this is my MAC Full Coverage Foundation, and I'm going to be using my mini base, and I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this with the brush and apply this all over. Now, the only caveat is because of this size, it's going to take you some time to actually, like, you know, fully apply and to blend out product. So if you have the other, like, you know, mini Keyaki brushes from Sonia G, you would have had the jumbo base already, and you would have actually used this to apply foundation on the face because the brush head of this is actually just bigger, and it's gonna help you to apply foundation faster and in no time. Now, the only difference is because the brush head of this is very big and very strong, you can actually see the difference. So you have a much more sheer application of foundation on this side of the face with this brush, but with that mini base here, you have a much more fuller coverage, and you actually have a much more opaque coverage. So depending on what type of, like, you know, foundation application that you want to have on your face, like, you know, any of these brushes will actually work. Okay, so I'm just gonna buff out the foundation here on the other side of my face just to thin it out a little bit. And what I love about the mini base here, because the brush head is quite small, it's quite dense, you're actually also able to really, like, you know, stamp in the product to build, like, you know, coverage, especially when you want to be very specific with the area that you want to build it on. Now, I actually do love the Fusion, like, you know, face brushes from Sonia G, and I just find it so unfortunate that they're no longer, like, you know, being produced because they're one of the best in the market. And in me saying that, I think Sonia G's brush range or brush line is actually evolving, and maybe that's why we have the sheer buffer now and the mini sheer buffer, because I think these two brushes is a good replacement for the Fusion face brushes. Okay, and it's also very concise. You actually only just need two, like, you know, brushes to either apply base or even, like, you know, blush color on the face. Okay, and since we're using the mini base here, just for some comparison, this is the mini sheer buffer, and the brush designs of these are actually very different. because the mini sheer buffer here is just a tad longer, especially with the synthetic bristles peaking at the tips of it in comparison to that of the mini base. But the thing is, with the mini sheer buffer, because it just blooms wider at the tips here, when you apply color on the face, it's going to be quite diffused. While with the mini base here, as soon as you apply color, it's going to be in a very concentrated spot, and then you would actually have to, like, you know, buff out the color and, like, you know, blend it until you get to the desired, like, you know, effect of the blush that you want. Okay, all right. So let me just continue to buff out everything. Okay, look at that. Great. And one thing that I love using the mini base for actually is, like, you know, for applying these very, like, you know, creamy and strong concealer types. So this is my Secret Camouflage from Laura Mercier. And if I just want to, like, you know, apply color in one go, and I'm just, like, you know, speeding through my makeup process, I just pounce the brush head here on the palette, and I just, like, you know, really dot it here in my under eye area, and that just really does the job of, like, you know, applying color and coverage. Look at that, very nice, all in one go. Okay, so that's the base down, and that's the concealer down. Fantastic. And now it's time for us to use some blush. Now, I have here my, like, you know, cream blushes. So I'm going to be using the Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder Flush from Danessa Myricks, and I'm going to be using the color Red Velvet here. It's fairly new, and I actually saw that she added this color into her blush range, and I think that's fantastic, because we need to have, like, you know, some reds in there. Although, like, you know, I don't use a lot of, like, you know, red blushes on myself, but I think this color is just so perfect to use for this demonstration. So I've loaded the color here on the brush head now, and I'm just gonna tap it lightly here on my cheeks. Just look on how specific the mini base applies color on the cheeks. Look at that. And then I'm just gonna remove any excess color here on a microfiber towel. And then I'm just gonna buff out the edges and blend everything. And now what I'm doing is I'm just, like, you know, lightening the pressure that I'm applying, just so that I don't disturb any, like, you know, product on the face. I'm just, like, you know, patting the edges and blending everything out. Now, these Danessa Myricks blushes are actually very pigmented, but I do have to say they're actually very easy to maneuver on the face, especially if you have the right tools with you. Okay, so nice, even flush of color. I love it. And now I'm just gonna get a little bit of my concealer, and I'm just gonna blend out the edges, and I'm still using the same brush. Now, the other thing that we can use the mini base for is actually, like, you know, powder products. And because we have so much cream product on the brush head of this, I'm gonna revert to the Pro mini base that we have here, and I'm gonna press the brush head into this pressed setting powder, and this is how much product it picks up. So it doesn't actually pick up a lot, which is great, and you can just, like, you know, really use this brush head to press the setting powder, like, you know, in the areas where you need to, like, you know, where you applied what concealer. Sorry, it got in my eyeball. I'm just gonna get more, and I'm just gonna press that here, the sides of my nose, this part of my cheeks, and blend that into the blush. And most importantly, it did not disturb any of the products that we placed beforehand. Look at that. So everything got set quite nicely, and we have a very nice even application of powder. It doesn't look cakey at all, it looks well blended. And don't worry if you only have one mini base with you, because if you need to set your face with powder, you can always use the classic face. Now this one also picks up, like, you know, powder products, especially in pressed form, quite nicely. And the main reason why is because the fibers of this is actually, like, you know, made with dyed Psycho goat hairs, which gives it enough strength to actually, like, you know, pick up these types of, like, you know, formulas. And it also gives the brush head the ability to actually buff out and to blend out everything on the face. Look at that. So it's actually mattifying my face a little bit, helping me set my, like, you know, cream foundation and just making everything look nice and soft. Okay, so that's setting powder down, and now what I want to do is I just want to pick up some finishing powder here. Okay, I'm just pressing the brush head into the pan. Fits perfectly. This is how much product we have on the brush head here, and I'm just gonna buff that on top of my cheeks and here under my eyes, and that just really adds a very nice finish, making it look soft focus. And again, because the bristles here are quite airy, you will not pick up a ton of this finishing powder, which ensures that your face will not look cakey at all. So it just picks up the right amount of product, and it just really helps you to build to the intensity and to the coverage that you actually need. Now, I also love using this brush for cheek color application. And for our video today, I'm going to be using a matte blush, and this is in the color Strawberry from Mercier. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this, not too much, and I'm just going to tap this on top of my cream blush that I applied earlier, and look how soft. We have a very nice impact of color there. It's very soft, but you can just see the pigment peeking through. Because for example, this is the soft cheek. Let me just tap it here, and then let me just tap it on top. So you see the difference? You have a much more vibrant application here, but still very soft color. Well, here it's actually very soft, not much vibrancy. So that's the difference between these two brushes, even if both of these brushes are actually both airy. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the classic face brush here, and I'm just gonna apply more of the strawberry color on this cheek just to set the red blush that I applied earlier. Okay, so let's move on to eyes, and I'm gonna start first by using an eye base, and this is my favorite eye base ever, and I'm gonna be using the Jumbo Blender for this. I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of this and apply this all over my eyelid. Now, this brush head is actually quite strong. Now, you don't really need to exert so much pressure to make it work. So light strokes will always do, and the only time that you'll press this is when you really need to blend out something on the eyelid, because if you press too much, it's going to exert so much pressure on your eyelid, and that will make you feel uncomfortable. So light strokes always work. Now, I think it's good timing that the volume 1 was released yet again, because there are a lot of makeup palettes in the market right now, and some of the makeup palettes that I have fallen in love with the past few months are these Danessa Myricks Groundwork palettes. And I believe these 3 eyeshadow brushes from the volume 1 and some of the eyeshadow brushes from the volume 2 will actually work perfectly for these types of palettes, because this is a perfect personal palette that you can always bring on the go. And then you have cream and powder formulas in this, and you have colors here that you can actually use to also help you define your eyes. Okay, all right, so let's play around with these now, and I'm gonna be using the Jumbo Blender yet again, and I'm gonna pick up the color Allure here. Oh, I love this, and look at that. And in one swipe, with very light strokes, the brush head here applies and delivers color very well into the eyelid. I'm gonna press the tip of the bristles now, and I'm gonna change the way that I angle the brush, and I'm just gonna insert the brush head well into my socket line here. That's gonna apply the color nicely, and the brush head here will just really blend that out. And because it splays when you press it, it also really helps in creating a lift for my eye. Okay, now I'm gonna get the crease brush here, and I'm gonna get the color Bliss. I'm using the cream color first, and look at how this brush head picks up pigment, and I'm gonna use that to apply color here into my socket line and crease area. I'm just gonna buff it out and to blend it out. Okay, and then I'm gonna get the jumbo blender and I'm just gonna buff that and create a lift. Ooh, look at that, very nice and very easy. Also blends so nicely. And I'm gonna get the jumbo blender again, and then I'm just gonna buff out and blend out the edges. Look how amazing that jumbo blender works. So good. So good. Amazing. Okay, and now I'm gonna get the flat definer, and then I'm gonna move on to the defining neutrals palette here, because I was using the Blooming Romance palette, and I'm gonna get the color Bark. And again, I'm still concentrating using the cream products here, and this is what I'm gonna use to apply, like, you know, definition here on my upper lash line. Just, like, you know, really buffing in the color here, and then I'm gonna apply a thinner application of color as I near the inner corner of my eye. Okay, so that's the initial eyeliner color down. I love it. And now I'm gonna get the mini booster. I'm just gonna remove any excess color on the microfiber towel here in front of me, and I'm gonna get the color Bark again, just a little bit, and I'm just gonna apply a little bit of that color here in the outer V portion, and I'm gonna blend that into my socket line and crease, just to add, like, you know, more definition of color there. Okay, and now I'm gonna get the flat definer, and whatever is left on the brush head here, I'm just gonna pat that here into the outer V portion, just so that we have, like, you know, more definition there. And with the jumbo blender, I'm just gonna buff out the edges, you know, just to really help create a lift for my eye. Oh, I think I added more here than I intended it, so let me just use this brush to buff that out and to blend it out. Okay, fantastic. So I have now the crease brush from the Mini Keyaki Set Volume 2, and I'm gonna use this brush to pick up some of the powder eyeshadow on this palette here. So I'm gonna get a little bit of the color Allure and then a little bit of the color Harvest, and I'm going to apply that well into my crease, and this will just really help me to set the cream eyeshadow colors from this palette. So I'm just, like, really buffing it in and putting it upward, and I'm gonna get more, and I'm gonna do that here on my other eye. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to the Lisa Eldridge Betty palette here. I just got this recently, and I'm gonna be using the jumbo blender here, and I'm gonna pick up this nice shade here in the middle, because it has, like, you know, a very nice, like, you know, green and pinky tone to it, and I think this would be a nice topper shade for this eye look, just for some drama. And I'm just gonna tap that all over. Look at that, very pretty. And so far, I don't have any fallout on my upper cheeks. And this is what I love about the jumbo blender, because it has a way of holding on to pigment and delivering it effectively on the eyes. Lovely color. I love that. I'm just being playful today. Okay, and I think the final step for this eye look, I'm gonna apply some eyeliner now, and I'm just gonna apply this on top of the cream liner. Okay, I'm just, like, you know, really applying a thin layer as close to the lash line as possible. Look at that, nice intensity. And now I'm gonna get the flat definer, and I'm just going to buff out the edges of that, because I don't want a very, like, you know, straight eyeliner there. I want it soft. And this eyeliner from Wayne Goss is actually matte, so I'm just showing you guys on how effective this flat definer can really buff out that kind of product and just make everything soft and cohesive. So this color, by the way, is called, what color is this? This is not black. This is called, where's that? Rich Hazels. It's a very nice, like, brown color. It's a muted brown color. And this will just work with our eye look today. And now, I think we just need some mascara. So let me get one of my most favorite mascara these days, the Kitten Lash Mascara from Lisa Eldridge. And this is in the color black. Ah, the sun is out. Anyway. And with whatever is left on the flat definer brush here, I'm just gonna lightly glide that into my lower lashes here, just to help open up my eyes a little bit and to add a little bit of definition in that part. Okay, and let's add more mascara in my lower lashes. Okay, so I believe we're almost coming to the end of our vlog for today. So let's just, finish off the look. So I'm finding to be a little bit oily at the moment. So I'm gonna get the mini Keyaki buffer here, and I'm gonna get a little bit of my pressed translucent setting powder here, and I'm just gonna add a little bit more in the areas where I'm usually oily. So press that. Okay, fantastic. And then if I want to add definition on my cheeks with a mini Keyaki set, I actually love using the soft face brush for this. And I'm gonna be applying color in a bronzer kind of a manner. So let me get this shade here. Look at that. And I'm just gonna apply a little bit of that here on top of my cheekbones. Look at how soft it diffuses the color, and also very precise. Very beautiful. I love that. And if I want to buff that out, I can always use the mini Keyaki Niji for that. And if I want to add some to my forehead area, I'm just gonna get a little bit of this, but I have to be very careful. And just apply this all over. And maybe as a finishing touch, I have the detail brush here, and I'm gonna get this nice lavender shade here, just a little bit, picking up the color from the very tip of the bristle here, and I'm gonna apply that here into my inner corners, just for some drama, and bring it well into my socket line. Bristle there, and maybe one more, blend it, buff it out, really soften the bronzer color. And maybe just as a final step, let's add a topper blush. And I have here this big gelée, orgasm color. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of the color beside that. I'm just gonna apply that on top of my blush, just to bring back the glow. Okay, so I believe we have come to the end of our vlog for today. So I hope that you guys enjoyed me showing you how I use my mini Keyaki set volume 1. And I also hope that you enjoyed me incorporating the other brushes from the mini Keyaki series of Sonia G into this video, because I just wanted to show you guys on how well they work together. They work in synergy together. They complement each other very well, and they work with a different array of makeup formulas that can really help you to create a very nice makeup look on your face. Okay, and also one thing, by the way, if you're someone who's new to Fude and you've been looking around, try dipping in with the mini Keyaki series of Sonia G. They're actually very good. You have different brush head designs here. You have different bristle mixes, and for sure they will be a great help in guiding you into this world. Okay, and finally, I do have a number of vlogs featuring the different brushes from the mini Keyaki series. So I'm gonna put all of them down on the description box so that you can go and check it out depending on what type of brush you want to know about. All right, okay, so that's it from me today. If you have any more questions about all the mini Keyaki brushes from Sonia G or any other makeup products that I use today, please let me know down in the comments box, and let's have a conversation about it. All right, okay, so I'm gonna let you guys go now. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you're having a good day wherever you are. Bye.